If you're selling your home, don't make the mistake and paint everything white. More on that later. I guess that's coming from the guy sitting in a dark teal room right now. But I digress. One of the easiest and most efficient ways to increase the value of your home is with paint. And I know I'm a bit biased being the paint guy, but hear me out. Whether you're sort of on the fence about whether you want to move or not, or you have showings booked for next week, a few coats of paint inside your home is pretty much a surefire way to put yourself in a much better and more profitable position. Today, I'm going to tell you about the types of paint colors that you should be considering before selling your home, and also maybe a couple to avoid as well. In addition to working as a painter and a color consultant, I also had a brief stint in the real estate industry where I learned a lot about staging and its effect on sale prices. The staging process is really about marketing your home to your potential buyers, which can put you in the best possible position to present your home in the best possible manner. While some people may resort to redoing the front facade of their home, very expensive, or redoing and gutting their kitchen and bathrooms, also very expensive, or even finishing their basement. Don't do that if you're selling. It's actually not a good investment. Painting becomes your best option because not only will your home look more up to date, but a paint job will get it that new home smell as well. And that's a big deal. Before we get into different color categories, I want to start by talking about the number of colors you should be using for your home. There are many conflicting arguments here, but I tend to like working with maybe 2 or 3 colors as a baseline when selling or preparing to sell. You want to strike a balance between having a bit of variety to create some definition between the spaces. Simultaneously though, you don't want to add too much visual clutter, which could disrupt the flow of your home. I would start by locking in your first main color, which is the crux of the color palette itself. This is the paint color that's going to go through the majority of your home. So definitely your hallways, those open living areas, maybe your family room, things like that. To some people, your color palette may end there for simplicity, which is an option, but I would also add a secondary color at least in some other rooms. I particularly like to switch things up in bathrooms and maybe the kitchen as well. Bedrooms are optional, I would say. Maybe a slightly darker version of your main color can go into the bedrooms for something a little more cozy, but it's definitely not a must. Now, picking your main color, I'm a big fan of warm neutrals in my day-to-day life. But for selling, I would urge you to give gray a go. For whatever reason, slightly warm-leaning grays tend to show quite well both in photos and in person. Colors like Agreeable Gray by Sherwin-Williams or Balboa Mist by Benjamin Moore have that contemporary feel to them without looking too cold and unapproachable. As much as I love beige in my home, it does get a bit of a bad rap in the real estate industry. There is this stigma attached to builder's beige that feels extremely plain and boring, and it could be just enough monotony for a potential buyer to scroll right past your home's listing. It's funny because there is a plus side to pick a new color that's rather safe, like classic gray, which may feel a bit boring to you after staring at it for years and years, but to a potential home buyer, they may think, oh, this home looks like it was updated recently. Less work for me. That's one of the keys to picking a perfect main color or primary color to paint your home before selling. You want to give your buyers the path of least resistance. You don't want them to walk into your tangerine orange colored house knowing the first thing they're going to have to do is paint. At least they'll remember your home, but they may not buy it. You want to pick a shade that will feel move-in ready, like an Agreeable Gray, a Balboa Mist, Collingwood, or even Silver Satin. You can't guarantee that everyone's gonna love it, but you can at least prevent the least amount of people hating it. And that's what those lighter, slightly warmer neutrals can do. Be careful with stereotypical beige, lean a little more into gray, or even better, combine forces with grayish. For the secondary color, or in this case, I guess the bathroom color, I love incorporating cooler colors. It just feels soothing and classy and modern. It's also a subtle transition that helps the space feel finished and can even make your bathrooms feel like luxury spas if you play your cards right. I'm a fan of Benjamin Moore's Wickham Gray for something a lot more subtle and light. Or you can lean into a cool gray-green with Sherwin-Williams Sea Salt. They're still neutral enough to suit whatever main color you decide to go with, but they will just help add that little bit of depth. Now, I know I mentioned not to paint your home white, if you're trying to sell it. And this may go against a lot of traditional advice because white is bright and clean and minimalist, which is pretty appealing to a lot of people, assuming you can keep your walls nice and clean. White can present some issues if you're not picking the correct white, because you can easily go too cool or too warm or too gray. And also, if your lighting is less than ideal, then the corners of your rooms can look a little bit dull and dingy at times. That being said, the one room that I almost always recommend painting white is the kitchen. And this can go for the walls, but most definitely goes for the cabinets. White cabinets have universal and timeless appeal that people love to see when they're buying a home. We're not trying to reinvent the interior design wheel here. You're going for broad appeal. So painting your cabinets decorator's white or simply white is usually a solid choice. Now I know I said I had 3 colors for you. Your main color, your bathroom, and then your kitchen color. But a little bonus color would be your kitchen island. And this is where you can easily incorporate some creative color choices to add some fun to the space. You're pretty safe going with a color like Hail Navy or Wrought Iron, or you can switch it up and go with a dark green like this one. Check out our review on it for more information, and happy painting.